hot start device, whole shot device that have contributed to some of the sort of nasty incidents we've seen so far this year. But the riders have been pretty keen to to play down that fact. They just say it's just the fact that we're doing so many starts now across the course of a weekend that they're all dialed in and we're all banging the money when it comes to braking for the first time.
Yeah, of course, the MotoGP Sports Entertainment Group sporting director, Carlos Espeleta, he joined us in the commentary box in the recent past. In fact, joined us in Mugello, didn't he? And of course, described some of the steps that they're perhaps looking to make to try and make Grand Prix starts as safe as possible. One of the options being looked at is potentially to build a bit of extra space in between each row of the grid, which is certainly not off the table either.
Yeah, make the most of this, folks, because you will not see MotoGP bikes sitting this low when they fire away from the start lines in 2027. All start devices, all ride height devices, a blanket ban on all of that technology. There's the Aprilia. The Aprilia right now, we've said it so often in 2026, is the best starting motorcycling Grand Prix. Barely any air between tarmac and Jorge Martin's front tyre as he dumped the clutch.
Yeah, if you want an idea of how dirtier it is offline, that's a good demonstration. Looking overhead from the drone shot, you can see the difference in colour from the tarmac on the pit wall side to the tarmac on the racing line down the left as the riders go down the main straight. That just gives you an idea potentially what Marc Marquez was facing when he was perhaps a metre or half a metre offline going through the left-hander of turn 7, and how little grip he would have had when he took the front.
Close session, even though we saw several riders on different tyre strategies in that session. The factory Ducatis in particular not out on fresh rubber. We know Fabio Quartararo is out on a new set of tyres, as once again Jorge Martin, this is the third time we've seen him practice this long lap. Twice he has to come through it on Sunday. That was superb. That was brilliant, wasn't it, by Jorge Martin. You're just wondering there, you saw him on the green on the exit of the long lap penalty loop. That will not be a factor in terms of track limits. That the riders and the teams have been informed that you are perfectly entitled to use the green on the exit of the long lap penalty loop, purely for the fact that it's going to help you have a safe rejoin on circuit. That's brilliant by Jorge. Elbow down almost through the long lap penalty loop. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and they can see already the lines that he's left, the rubber that he's put down on the green tarmac there, and of course the knee down is allowed to be outside of the long lap penalty loop as long as your two tyres are within the confines of the long lap penalty loop. That is a-okay.
Yeah, of course, and you will escape any kind of track limit sanction if you're in the long lap penalty loop and are on the green, assuming that you do not gain any kind of advantage, which will be keeping the MotoGP stewards very, very busy this weekend.
I'm sure Aprilia will also be in very close conversations with the stewards just to understand what are we allowed to do and what are we not allowed to do, because that is going to be key to Jorge Martin's race.
Well, he's done it on a MotoGP bike, he's done it on his push bike. He's going to be very well rehearsed in the long lap loop, isn't he, Jorge Martin? So once again, factory absolute rocket off the line, isn't it? Absolute rocket. How early is Martin going to be braking for turn 1 here on Saturday and Sunday, do you feel?
Well, I guess the problem he has, and I think the riders discussed this yesterday, is if you brake it earlier than you're supposed to for the first corner, you could quite easily find yourself getting rear-ended by someone behind you, because you'd expect that Jorge Martin is going to have a good few riders behind him on the grid wherever he qualifies, even allowing for his issues getting a qualifying time out of Aprilia. He'll generally be starting somewhere near the front, so you've almost got to attack, you've got to be on the limits. If not, you could find yourself in trouble from the other end.
What about Frankie Morbidelli back in Brno for the first time since he almost won the Grand Prix here back in 2020? Of course, a real nasty accident that Frankie had in the Saxon Ring Sprint last year when he was not fit to take part in last year's Grand Prix of Czechia. And he's having a rough old time, a tough old time, isn't he? The 31-year-old Italian. He has scored points in all 8 Grand Prix so far this year, but only a pair of top 10s in Catalonia and Buram. Just cannot get any grip. Zero grip front and rear right now for the number 21. Good to see him get a chance to tackle Brno once again. A lot of talk, I noticed, particularly over in the Mazzano World Superbike paddock last weekend. But Frankie Morbidelli under serious consideration, potentially to slot in as Nicolo Bulliger's factory Ducati replacement there next year. Look at that. That is some shot, isn't it? I mean, Jean Zarco might have some competition here for the best long lap ever in Brno.
You can see once again that rubber that Martin has laid down. He's, I guess, going to be coming through that at the end of every session. Through warm-up, he's going to be going through there, because it's worth reminding you that that double on lap penalty only applies for Sunday's 21-lap Czech Grand Prix. It does not apply to tomorrow's Tissot Sprint. So that's another element of Jorge Martin's weekend worth reflecting on, that the sprint is the big opportunity for Martin to try and maximise his points this weekend, because he will not serve the double long lap tomorrow. He will serve it on Sunday.
Into pits then comes Jorge Martin. Half a dozen times then we've seen him through the long lap penalty loop. It's Marc Marquez that has set his stall out early. He has laid down an early marker. As mentioned, there's a lot of different strategies at play in that session, but it was still mighty, mighty close. Brad Binder, 2020 Brno winner, down in 17th place, not even a second behind Marc Marquez. So a second covering the top 17 riders. 53.303 is the time that tops the lot, though. Marc Marquez exactly 2/10 faster than Fabio Quartararo. Pedro Acosta, shake of that as he comes into the factory KTM garage. And a little bit of an embrace with Paul Trevathan, pit buyer there, of course, KTM Motorsport Director. He'll be here, keeping a very close eye on what happens here on Monday in the new 850cc era. Just there at the bottom left-hand corner of your pictures with the laptop is Sebastian Rieser, technical guru at KTM. And Alex Marquez, how did Alex go in that session? 18th. There was Dr. Angel Chartra, of course, lead medic in the MotoGP World Championship, just checking it all day okay with Alex. He was more concerned about the recovering collarbone, but I think he smashed into 4 different places. It sounded like a real nasty multiple fracture on the right collarbone for Alex. Steady away though, very, very impressive. That a 154.519. He did 13 laps, which was pretty much on par with what everybody else was doing. 18th he was at the checker flag. So that's a very, very encouraging return to action for the number 73.
Yeah, it's difficult to have any sort of target for Alex Marquez or any expectation, but if he gets into Q2 this afternoon into the top 10, he would have done a phenomenal job given the physical limitations he is surely riding with. But the thumbs up and the nod to Dr. Angel Chartra would indicate that he's going to continue through the weekend. His brother Mark, though, beginning the weekend on top. Pre-practice one goes the way of the world champion. Fabio Quartararo second for Yamaha. Ralph Fernandez third for Trackhouse Aprilia. And Joan Mir fourth, factory Honda. Ayagura fifth, second of the track houses. Then we saw Bagnaia, Aldeguer, Gian Antonio Acosta, who was down early on in the session, and Luca Marini 10th. Toprak in 11th, ahead of Alex Rins. Maverick Vinales, who was another early faller. Martino had some technical issues. Morbidelli 50th, ahead of points leader Marco Bezzecchi. Brad Binder in 17th. Alex Marquez returns to action in P18, ahead of one of our other early fallers, Diogo Moreira. Jack Miller, Enea Bastianini, and Cal Crutchlow complete the 22.
So Marc Marquez fastest then. Middle of that second run, his best number 1, 53.303 coming in. Didn't change tyres, medium, out for the whole session before he had the late crash at turn 7.
Fabio Quartararo did change tyres, as you can see there. Brand new medium front, medium rear for his final run. That saw him take a sizable jump up the order, all the way up into second. 17
laps was Ralph Fernandez's work this morning, climbing off his sickbed and impressing with a 153.513, helped by a new medium front for that second stint.
And looking to break his Brno jinx this weekend is Joan Mir. Like Fabio Quartararo, he changed to brand new medium front and rear tyres to get himself into the 53s late on, taking 4th.
Expect to see Marc Marquez's name feature promptly in the sector time. Second he was Ayagura. He's rapid in the first bit closer, just 3,000 to clear Mark.
Yeah, there's a pattern developing from here on in. It's Marc Marquez fastest in sector 2 from Ralph Fernandez.
Quickest also in sector 3 as you build towards Horsepower Hill. Aldeguer and Mir, his closest competition.
And up that hill, it's a factory Ducati 1-2 with Marc Marquez just edging out his teammate Pecco Bagnaia.
Well, momentum and confidence are two wonderful things to have in your locker, aren't they, in the MotoGP World Championship? And after his sprint victory and Grand Prix win double in Balaton Park a couple of weeks ago, it's confidence and momentum that Marc Marquez, the reigning world champion, has in abundance. And despite a crash at turn 7, the factory Ducati rider leads the way here after our opening session in Brno. Q2 places will be coming up next later on live this afternoon.
This is as good as racing gets. Gladiators in the arena.
Oh, listen to the crowd. They are on their feet.
All the blood, sweat and tears, all the surgeries, all the sacrifices. The riders, the fans, they are a different breed.
What a sprint Saturday has been here in Balaton for the reigning world champion. Pole position to the sprint victory. What a return to action.
Marc Marquez, he has completely dominated this sprint.
Welcome to the Grand Prix of Hungary. Welcome to the Balaton Park circuit. Marc Marquez taking his 76th MotoGP pole position.
The rider on pole position is the rider to beat.
So here we go then. It's lights out and racing in MotoGP here in the Grand Prix of Hungary. Big wheel spin there for Marc Marquez as he got off the line. Is he going to try and toughen out the brakes with Pedro Acosta on the run into the first corner? Sideways goes Acosta and Jorge Martin out of shape, out of control. Aldeguer has been cleaned out. The top three in the World Championship are out of this Grand Prix.
Rezeki, Aldeguer, Gian Antonio and Fernandez out.
At the front then, Marc Marquez has a quarter of a second lead over Pedro Acosta.
Bagnaia just cruised through all the chaos up in the third place. Marini sails wide, so he's given up fourth now to Jack Miller.
Acosta's lunging on the inside of Marc Marquez. Pedro Acosta then leads here in Balaton for the third time.
Acosta's getting plenty of grip out of that soft rear tyre, with Marc Marquez banking on that medium rear being the better long-term pick.
Clearly, the incident at turn 1 is under investigation. Marco Rezeki then. That's going to be super frustrating for Bez. The fifth. Oh, look at that. Mir was almost down. No surprise there. We said that Anea's going to likely cop a long lap penalty.
Now Agura's going on the attack. He's now at the inside of Juan Mir.
Marc Marquez is starting to pound some serious pressure on Acosta here. He's all over the rear tyre of Acosta into 9 and 10. The chicane we go. Marc Marquez leads. Sideways there, wasn't he? Sideways on the brakes as Marc Marquez left the door open. Acosta barges his way through. Here comes Marquez then now attacking on the brakes once again. Chest on the brakes. Oh, it's a block pass from Marquez. They're squeezing each other. Are they rubbing shoulders with each other? Big contact, wasn't there? This is the battle we have been waiting for, but Acosta versus Marquez is on. Is this going to be another time he's going to attack? It is. So this is successive laps. Then went to 93, has sent it on the inside of Acosta. He'll just run Acosta out to the paintwork. That was crucial. He got his tactics spot on there, didn't he? Number 93, Marc Marquez. He is back at the front, and now already he has got daylight between himself and Acosta. This battle continues to rage between Marini and Nagura.
Marini once again held the inside of the racetrack, but then of course goes across the race line. Nagura lets the brakes off, desperately trying to get to the apex first, and this time he's able to park it in front of Luca Marini.
The reigning world champion with just one corner left. Marc Marquez has had a blast at Balaton Park once again. He wins in Hungary to make it 100 wins for one very special rider, one very special talent. Pedro Acosta takes second place. Pecco Bagnaia is on the podium for the third race in succession. The factory Ducati team reach a century of wins. This World Championship defence is now well and truly up and running. We are at majestic Mugello once again. What a moment for Raul Fernandez, who wins the Tissot sprint here in Mugello. It's his first gold medal after a golden performance by the Trackhouse Aprilia rider. Good afternoon and welcome one and all to the Brembo Grand Prix of Italy. Fernandez goes really wide. Martin trying to pick up some slipstream. He's going to be close enough to attack Bez on the brakes into San Donato. He's got the inside line. Is he going to get it stopped? Because there was a big head shake there from Martin. He's going to run in hot. He's going to run in wide. Got to be careful here.
Marc Marquez is fourth, so it's now Rezeki and Bagnaia, an Italian 1-2 at the Italian Grand Prix.
Here comes Bagnaia then through Biondetti 1 and 2. Is he going to be close enough to maybe show his wheel to Rezeki on the brakes into the final corner? Can he pick up some slipstream on that factory Ducati?
Here's Bagnaia about to lead the Italian Grand Prix as he goes to the left of Marco Rezeki, and Bagnaia does hit the front once again at Mugello.
Marc Marquez runs in a little bit hard. Acosta's the fastest rider on circuit. Marc then back up into P4, but Pecco Bagnaia then leads here in front of his home crowd. Acosta Acosta, just with a bit of a block pass there, eased on the inside of Marc Marquez. Is this finally Acosta potentially securing fourth place? As Bezzecchi really does close up on the rear tyre of Bagnaia. Here comes Bezzecchi, just building and building momentum. He's going to go to the inside line here. They go side by side. Bez versus Bagnaia. This is the moment then with 10 to go where Marco Bezzecchi has decided this is his moment. So Marco Bezzecchi then back at the front here in Mugello. Martin's going to gobble up Bagnaia very, very quickly. Surely this is going to be a fairy tale 1-2 here. Fair play to Bagnaia. He's really trying to tough it out on the brakes.
I think Mark's bigger problem here isn't Acosta. It's Ayagura on the trackhouse in front of you, who is still doing 146s. Here comes Agura.
Yeah, that's lovely. On the inside of Mark. Just squeezing him out to the paintwork.
Ayagura, remember, has come from 13th place on the grid.
And Aprilia absolutely powering past Pedro Acosta's KTM. They both go sideways. They're both snaking left and right, trying to squeeze every bit of braking performance. Well, Agura just closing the door there on Acosta.
Bagnaia, within sight of the checkered flag, might lose his grip on the podium again.
But here comes Ayagura. What a battle for the final place on the podium. Bagnaia sweeps to the inside line. But Marco Bezzecchi is proof that dreams do come true. He takes a fairy tale home success here in Mugello. Aprilia team, simply the best, simply the best day of his career. Dreams do come true, a lifelong dream as a schoolboy. He would have watched his Italian heroes for so many years win here in Mugello. Grazie Mugello, grazie Italia. Brilliant job that by Alex.
Alex Marquez held up, he stood up to the pressure, and he does take his first sprint win of the season.
We are at another classic and iconic Spanish Grand Prix venue for round 6 in 2026. It's Pedro ready to power away from pole position here. What can Alex Marquez do? And we've got problems here. Is that Brad Binder? It's a number 33 who's rolled off the line. Lights out, and we're racing in MotoGP here in Catalonia. It's a great start from pole position once again by Pedro Acosta. And here's Martin, another dynamic start from Martin.
And Martin, he's now attacking Alex Marquez. Oh, it's good contact between the two Spaniards.
Oh! Well, Zarco, if he'd lost it there, he cleaned Jorge out.
Contact between Zarco and Frankie Morbidelli. Zarco's on the inside and he sends Alex Marquez out to the car park.
There's Acosta that leads. What a time to ride on board with Alex.
Martin's busy attacking rather than defending. He takes Zarco then for that third place.
As Alex goes through on Joan Zarco. We're coming from a long, long way back. Here's Raul Fernandez. Trackhouse Aprilia lead once again.
Behind us, we saw that move also for Marquez. He passed Martin.
Acosta in the slipstream. And Acosta is back at the front. Marquez up into second place. Oh, dearie me. Alex Marquez had no room whatsoever to take any kind of avoiding or evasive action. Drama here then. So this MotoGP race here in Barcelona has been red flag. All riders involved in this are conscious. Alex is okay. Costa going from pole. Fernandez second on the grid. But here we go then, take two in Catalonia. Jorge Martin, who makes another stunning start on the factory of Aprilia. The Cuan Mir's got away well. Mir's going to drop in second place.
Into Marini and Bagnaia.
Now another red flag. Pecco Bagnaia making his way back to the paddock.
Pray and hope that Joan Zarco is A-OK.
That third attempt to complete this Catalan Grand Prix. Lights out of racing in here in Montmello. It's a little poor start by Fabio Di Gianantonio. Acosta and Martin are going to go toe-to-toe and tough out on the brakes into the first corner once again. Rafa Fernandez there in third place.
What Aprilia takes out another.
So Jorge Martin, after a double win in Le Mans last weekend, now has a double DNF. Di Gianantonio comes from a long, long way back on the inside of Pecco Bagnaia. Digit then up into P3.
Gianantonio, if he wants to make his move, he needs to make it soon. Here comes that move, up into second place, past Mir. He's just going to park it on the inside of Pedro Acosta and force it to give the lead up. Acosta's not going to give this up without an almighty fight.
On the cut, back goes Acosta. Di Gianantonio's going to have the inside line though, going through turn 12. Acosta's not going to be on the podium if he's not careful. He isn't, he's got no grip. A sitting duck, a passenger, Aldeguer dives on the inside of Acosta. Oh, Acosta goes down. Fabio Di Gianantonio wins the shortened Catalan Grand Prix. Drama throughout this afternoon in the top class as Valentino Rossi congratulates his race winner, Fabio Di Gianantonio. What a shortened Catalan Grand Prix that was. Lights out, we're racing here in the sprint in Le Mans. Martin with an absolute show-stopping start. Unbelievable. What a start from Jorge Martin. Martin from 8th to 1st. The key word, Marquez has dumped it again.
A Saturday afternoon nightmare for the reigning world champion.
I was not constant and arrived in strange crashes, and for that reason also this weekend I was extra careful to try to survive, but yeah, you know, the body's not following what I want and I need to take a rest.
The sprint here is going to finish in phenomenal fashion for Jorge Martin as he takes the checkered flag first. It is a record 18th sprint success for the Martinator. What a ride, what a performance. What lies in store though now ahead of the 2026 edition of the Michelin Grand Prix of France? A full dry 4.19 kilometre Bugatti circuit. No Marquez though on the front row. We wish him a speedy recovery after his big sprint crash yesterday. 27 laps coming your way. Lights out and we're racing here in Le Mans. It's a great start from pole position by Pecco Bagnaia. He goes to the gearbox. The front wheel comes down the smoke though from Bagnaia. Great start by Marco Bezzecchi.
Okay, so we are ready to start. I believe everyone, full house, has taken their seats, and we have, of course, our speakers on the stage. I'm sure somewhat of a spoiler from the people who we do have with us on the stage today for this very special press conference. And of course, we're joined by Carlos Ezpeleta, Chief Sporting Officer of MotoGP, Massimo Rivola, the CEO of Aprilia Racing, Gigi Dall'Igna, the General Manager of Ducati Corsi, Pit Byra, KTM Motorsports Director, Taiichi Honda, HRC General Manager of Race Operations, and Paolo Pavesio, the Managing Director of Yamaha Motor Racing. Welcome all of you. As I said, somewhat a spoiler in the people we have present on the stage, but a very exciting day for MotoGP, the whole sport going forward. A new agreement has been signed, and Carlos, you will mainly take us off there. Great birthday present for you today.
Thank you everybody. Thank you everybody for joining us, and thank you especially to the 5 manufacturers for making this possible, especially to Massimo and Gigi, to Pit, to Paolo and to Taiichi, because we're really happy about being here making this announcement, but not only about the result but about the process, because it's a really exciting moment for MotoGP. Of course, the past sort of 14 months have been a lot of sort of headlines with MotoGP and the change in ownership and Liberty Media coming in. But the sport is of course at the center of everything, and being together, announcing this global agreement with the manufacturers, with the 5 most important motorcycle brands in the industry. It shows how much MotoGP has evolved and grown over the last decades. Like I said, we're really happy, not only about the announcement itself, but about the process and really the conversations that we've had. The six parties thinking about how we all see MotoGP, where we want to take MotoGP in the future, thinking about the areas for investment, and really aligning in one single agreement where we can look forward to the future and see how we can continue to build MotoGP globally. So I'll let each manufacturer comment on the announcement, but it's a really special moment. It's a really laying the foundations, the framework for the future of the sport. Really happy to be here today. Thank you.
Carlos, so yeah, of course, we'll ask each of you for your statements. We'll start with you, Massimo. As Carlos said, it's more than just an agreement, it's about the framework and the future of the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. I can agree more than that to Carlos. I mean, it's actually an historical day, considering what has been done in the past. I think that the big news here is that the manufacturers move together, and they want to be part of the future of MotoGP together with MotoGP Sport Entertainment Group. And I think that the fact that we are here all together is a very strong message, and a picture can means a lot more than all the words that we can say.
Well, indeed, it is a glorious picture. So, Gigi, some thoughts from you and from the Ducati side.
Sure, we are really happy because we signed the 5 years agreement, so this gives us a lot of stability. It's a long-term agreement, and the stability is really important in motorsport. I'm really happy that everybody of us here was fighting on the track, but stayed together when we have to sign and so important agreement like this, and so it's I'm really happy.
I think everyone, if anyone says they're not happy, will be concerned. We'll move on to you. Like I said, historic day, and KTM are part of it once again.
Yes, I just can repeat what Carlos and the 2 gentlemen said. It was I would say, a strong process. Dorna opened the floor for us and said, let's work on this 5-year agreement. And sometimes people were also wondering why this takes so long. But on the other side, we never felt so integrated and being together, talking so open to Carlos and the team about the future of the sport. But then also I think first time ever, we shared also the interest of the manufacturers. with each other and really try to create now a bigger MotoGP. Like, it's already fantastic, but I think by sharing all our knowledge about the sport together with MotoGP, this was really very special, and it brought us just a lot forward. And I feel we have a really stable and solid base now to going into the next 5 years. So I'm also really happy to be part of this project.
Thank you very much. So Taichi, we'll come to you and the Honda perspective.
Yeah, thank you very much joining us today. And Honda HRC has been racing World Championship since 1959. So we are very pleased with this new agreement. So we look forward to see the new future MotoGP.
Yeah, it's an incredible legacy for Honda in the championship, and of course Yamaha too. Paolo, final few first words from you before we get questions from the floor. How important is this for Yamaha?
Yeah, I think also for us it's been a very interesting journey of mutual discovery, if I can say like this, within manufacturer and then together with MotoGP Group. And yeah, today we are somehow celebrating the end of a process which have brought us to design the coming 5 years. But in fact, this is really the beginning of a new era where we are as Yamaha very happy to participate and contribute. But also I really appreciate and like the spirit which I think we could have built together. Gigi spoke about competing on the track, which is what we all want to do, but is also trying to be somehow even colleagues when we need to design the future of this beautiful sport.
Beautiful sport indeed, perfect segue. So members of the media from this beautiful sport, if you do have any questions from the floor, please let us know and we'll come to you.
Hi everyone, Adam Wheeler. 2 questions. The first one maybe to Massimo as chairman of the MSMA. In your quote in the official press release, you said that MotoGP has huge potential. Can you talk about maybe some of the plans, some of the different promotion that you guys spoke about to make that happen in the next coming years?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we all agree that we are we feel we are doing the best sport in the world, the most exciting. We think that we didn't maximize yet the potential of this sport and business. I don't want to spoil anything before we agree together. And I think that should be the way now on we should move on. But I think that we all agree, and you guys also agree, that the potential of this sport and this business is great. We saw what Formula One did. For sure, we don't have to do a copy and paste of what they did, but there are some good things that need to be sold and raise the level of the brand of MotoGP too.
And then secondly, maybe also for Carlos or anybody else who wants to give an opinion, there was some talk about MotoGP going to a one-bike format or structure. Can somebody explain the reasoning behind that and whether it might actually happen? Thank you.
Thank you. I'm happy to take it first, and then for any of the manufacturers to join. You know, to sum up to what Massimo said, I think that, you know, nobody, especially the people around in this room, but everybody knows, you know, and I think agrees with how great MotoGP is as a sport, and probably, well, not probably, definitely the best and most entertaining motorsport on the planet. We're, you know, a lot of this discussion was about how do we continue to build on that platform where the sport and what the fans love. I'm not saying shouldn't be altered forever, but it's not the sort of the core, you know, focus point, because we all agree that, you know, what happens on track is very, very special. And it's just about, you know, how can we invest and improve in areas that we can just capture more fans and continue growing the business. And as part of that, you know, we have discussed different, you know, changes to the technical rules, to the format. None of which sort of look at, you know, the sprint and you know, the Grand Prix race itself, where we all agree, you know, the current rules with flag to flag and being able to use the you know, second bike during an issue, even on the sighting lap or warm-up lap, we all agree that it's important to maintain that. We are looking at other areas of the weekend to see if there's better ways always to improve the sport, improve the safety of the riders, improve sort of the working atmosphere and the investment of the manufacturers. So there is a conversation around that, but of course that's not directly part of this announcement because it's not finalized yet.
Hi everybody, Mela Chercoles, Diario HEINZ Store. Congratulations for the agreement. And the question, I don't know sadly for who, but when the new signing for the next year of the riders be announced?
But that's specifically not for me, that question. So,
can you say?
I think in the next days.
Coming soon.
Coming soon.
During this GP, for example?
Sorry?
During this weekend?
I don't know if during this weekend, but for sure during the next week.
Hello, gentlemen. This is Frank Weying from Ziggo Sport in the Netherlands. Carlos, you just said that this is not something we talked about, or Adam asked about the one bike rule. This is not the moment that you would elaborate on that. But could you tell us a little bit about what your ideas are about making the sport grow as a group of people?
Yeah, so I mean, and I think it's important to point out, a lot of there's been a lot of comment regarding the time of this agreement, and we actually don't feel that it's taken long at all. We started the conversation specifically actually here less than a year ago, and that's when the conversation was able to start, of course, because that's when the you just realized it. That's when it was right after the change of ownership was confirmed to Liberty Media, and it's normal, I think, as the most important stakeholders of the championship, that had to happen before the discussion, sort of initiated. So I think the first thing is, in this conversation, one thing that's clear is that I think that the manufacturers have gotten to know their own businesses better and their own activities, and been able to align themselves on what the common goal for MotoGP is, and the common goal for MotoGP is definitely to continue to grow the sport and to continue to invest in making the sport and the business bigger from sort of global from a global perspective. So even looking at the calendar, looking at the events themselves from a perspective, and I think I'd love for the manufacturers to also speak about it, but I think that not only have they understood their own businesses better, but we've understood their business, and they've also understood our business better, and that's, I think, the collective business of all the stakeholders. And high tides raise all boats, and for the manufacturers to understand how our dynamics works in terms of media rights, race promotion, sponsorship, for them to understand what actually is bringing value to the table, so we can all collectively work on that, and we can also contribute to their investment into that. I think it's very, it's essential in this new period, and a part of this is, not only extends to the manufacturers, but into the teams. How can we help them continue to invest in their groups, from a marketing commercial perspective? But I think it will be present in a number of ways, from our TV production to us, transforming our races into more of entertainment events where there's, more entertainment also outside of the racing itself, working at it from a destination point of view and from a content point of view. How do we jointly want to invest in the sport? It goes from, I think it will affect, to a certain degree, all areas of MotoGP, but I want to highlight the fact that, the sport itself does not need fixing, and there's already a lot of things happening already next year with the new regulations, so that hasn't been sort of, what happens on track is clearly working really well, and we just want to showcase that to more fans around the world.
Over here, David Emmett, Paddock Pass Podcast. Question for you, Carlos, and for anyone else who wants to chip in. You talk about growing the sport. I think one of the most important parts of that is we're in a really radically changing media environment. Old forms of media are changing. We're seeing new forms of media, a lot more, short form video, that sort of thing. How is this a subject that you discussed, and how do you see the role that different kinds of media can help to grow the sport?
I think it is definitely a topic that we've touched on, and not just MotoGP, but any sport is really measured on how many eyeballs you put in front of a screen, and how much they engage with, how much that fan base engages with the sport. And I'm saying screen because, to your point, it can be sort of any format. The media market is, of course, challenging, from a sort of fragmentation point of view, especially in some of our core markets. Having said that, we are in a very healthy moment for MotoGP, where the audiences are positive in a number of very important markets, and for sure, to your point, our content strategy and distribution is at the center of that, and making sure that you just need to build the right format for every for every content platform, from social media to YouTube to our broadcasters, for sure. And I think the manufacturers have been very interested in learning that, and also gaining more access themselves for showcasing the riders, their personalities, etc. And we're really happy to have that conversation. Content and content distribution is definitely one of the areas that we are looking at for investment within the cycle.
Sorry, gentlemen, just one additional question. I had one additional question. Sorry to come back to this again, Carlos, but you said this is not the moment to talk about changes for next year, possibly shorter sessions or one bike rule. When can we expect possible changes to be announced for next season?
Yeah, I mean, it's the focus of the announcement is clearly to showcase that all six parties are aligned, that we're committed for at least five more years. There's already a lot of things happening next year, as you know. We are looking at changes improvements in a number of areas to the championship. This, I mean, as you know, they have to go to the right process to be announced. They have to be approved by the Grand Prix Commission, which is not only the manufacturers and a MotoGP group, but it is also IRTA and FIM. And I think what is clear is that any of the discussions are targeted towards improving the sport, first and foremost from a safety point of view, but also from an entertainment and business point of view. So I think sorry, I didn't answer your question. Within the next couple of months, I think we will be able to announce things.
Hello there, it's Dimitri from Greek Television, just over here. I have a question for you about what kind of growth do you think it would be possible to achieve with MotoGP? Because if you look at when Liberty Media took over Formula One at the end of 2016, in the following years up to COVID, there were attendance at racetrack. The number of spectators grew by around 10 to 15%. But then, of course, COVID happened, and I think the viewing figures exploded after that because of the Drive to Survive series, and you could argue that was a little bit of luck, whereas the 10 to 15% growth up until COVID was obviously through action. Given that everyone, though, does drive a car, not everyone rides a motorcycle, what kind of growth do you think we could achieve with MotoGP? What kind of proportion? Thank you.
What sort of proportion was the word?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So, sort of what amount of growth could we achieve?
Okay, thank you. So I feel like it's a bit of a monologue, so I'll speak, and I'll allow Massimo and the rest to join. But first and foremost, I mean, it's not my place to comment on sort of another sporting property. I think, I mean, we had a 10%, slightly over 10% increase in attendance last year, and we can continue to see growth this year. Attendance is key because it doesn't only drive sort of the numbers on site, but building our events as flagship events is a really core part of this business. We have, you know, the ultimate goal would be to have 22 Super Bowls around the world. That will be sort of, it's a further way out in time, but I think that there's, you know, from that side, we're seeing a lot of tailwinds within our events. I think, you know, we have this amazing racing, and we just scratched the surface in terms of a number of areas. To your point, I think, you know, hospitality is one of them, where we've announced a good partnership with Quint. I think merchandising is another area where we're sort of scratching the surface only, because you know, there's a lot for us to do within, you know, building the brands, the manufacturers, and the teams and the riders to elevate the merchandising product and the fan activation on site. And I think we will be seeing differences in that area as soon as next year, because it's an area where we're investing to elevate the experience. I think another one is clearly the destinations themselves, with us bringing you know, two very big events next year in Buenos Aires and Adelaide, which are going to be, you know, two downtown events, which we're really looking forward to, and we will continue to look forward to growth in the calendar, whether it's, you know, in Southeast Asia, which are markets were really important to the manufacturers, but also within the States, who was equally important to both of us. So from that point of view on site, I think we will continue to see growth. I think on our side specifically, but I think for the greater group, sponsorship is clearly an opportunity, because we are under monetized by fan. So per fan basis, I think we will continue to see you know, growth in that area. And I think it's really good that we're seeing also on the team side new partners coming in on a sort of monthly basis now, which I think it just impacts, you know, it shows the impact of the Liberty Media acquisition and the growth for the sport. And then finally, of course, and I think I'd probably put it at the beginning, is sort of the content, our content distribution and our production. I think, you know, there are different areas that we're working on from a content point of view, but I think, you know, the production itself, bringing audio communication, firstly with the teams and then with the riders, I think that's really going to elevate, you know, the experience for people at home and people on devices, you know, on social media, etc. So I think, you know, we are, again, like to the point before, it really affects all areas of the business. But happy to hear from the manufacturers.
This time I start.
Yes.
We go reverse order. So I think Carlos said a lot already, but we have a fantastic product here, which is racing. But clearly, the area where we see the possible growth is the expansion on the promotion side. And it goes from focusing on new areas, where a lot of motorcycle fans and MotoGP fans are there looking for races. But I also think on top of and we have been discussing, of course, about this, on top of the 22 races, there is opportunity to go out there and look for new fans by the championship launch event, which I think has been clearly proving a high possibility of success. And from Bangkok to Singapore already, it made, from Bangkok to Malaysia, it made a step. We have also possibility to organize events with MotoGP running machines around the world to engage new fans. This is the area of growth for sure we are targeting. And then those fans we will touch, they will be ready to welcome new events in the future, or they will engage through us by various media, by merchandise. That's where I feel we have highest possibility to grow. On the racing format itself, it's more a fine-tuning. It's a small fine-tuning because that works and provides great show.
You know, honestly speaking, I think that one of the area that we would like to improve is for sure the location of the Grand Prix, because you know, we have to be as close as possible with the people, and so to go to the racetrack around some important city is for sure one of the targets that we will have for the future. And for sure we have to think about the market, because there are markets that are more important than others, and so we have to evaluate very well which will be the next event location.
Any more?
Okay, one more, please. How do you see the arrivals of new brands to the championship in the future? Would you like? Is possible? Is close? Is far? How do you see?
This is a question for me. I think, again, that's an odd question for today because we're really, really happy to be here announcing, you know, again, like I said,
The most important already here.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said. The 5 most important motorcycle brands are in the room. I think what I can say is that, you know, we're really committed to the number of bikes on track, and we think that that's the right number of bikes and teams. So clearly happy, of course, on our side if you know, new manufacturers want to join. I think that, you know, the interest in the championship and global will continue to grow, but it's not, I mean, again, it's not something that we're actively pursuing because we're happy with the number of riders, and if a new manufacturer comes in, they will have to, you know, find an agreement with one of the teams, and that probably looks a bit distant from now. To the point whether the manufacturers want more competition or not, I think it's clearly, you know, it's very competitive out there right now, but I'll allow Massimo to comment.
I mean, I think that the number is, and the fixed number so far is one of the key, and the reason why
Watch this.
the value of
This
the team,
ugly
for
photo
example, has been growth recently by 10 times. If you see the movement and the value that has been done recently. Having let's say the right to stay in this kind of war, in this kind of business, it's already a big step and a big value, and we don't have to underestimate that power. If there will be someone that wants to join us, I think that we should do the same. So sit down together, evaluate together, and do the best for our sport and our business.
Are we truly done? There's been a lot of points made since the last time we thought we were done with questions from the floor, so last chance. No? Okay, then thank you very much all for coming. If we could ask our speakers to remain on the stage for a second, and photographers who are in the room, this is your photo up now. So if we can look more or less around Diego and Felix. So thank you very much to all of you, and thank you to all of you who've joined us here.
Thank you.
Gracias.